Hello and welcome to Wicklow Good News with me, Jillian Godsil. Today my guest is Kirsten Killoran, who is a trainee lactation consultant. Wow, it's a mouthful. Good morning, Kirsten. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm good.
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 Was that a pun I just made there? It was a mouthful. For babies, maybe. We're going to talk about lactation and breastfeeding. And before we started recording, we're just saying it's a natural thing. It's the most natural thing in the world, but it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do, especially for first-time mums. So tell me, what does a lactation consultant do and how can you help mums?
Well, because I'm not quite a lactation consultant yet, I'm working towards the exam. Lactation consultants are people, sometimes they're trained and operate in hospitals, and others are in private practice. So they would come to mums in their homes. A few of them are doing that again. Now some of the restrictions are lifting. And just giving that extra bit of support. They have a higher level of training, medical training, than some of the volunteer supporters like myself would have. And it's just that extra bit of support if something's needed and something's not going quite right.
And you're a mother of 2 children.
I am, yeah. I have a 5.5-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy.
And you went the breastfeeding route yourself then, presumably?
I did, yeah. I went to my first one on my daughter. So about 5 years ago now I started going. It wasn't that I was having any problems. It was that I didn't know anybody in the town. I'd been working in Dublin, commuting, didn't really know anybody. So I thought, right, I'm home now. I need to know people. I'm kind of all alone with this baby. And so I went and got a bit of support and made some really good friends that are still my friends today. And the girls are going to primary school now. So
brilliant. Yeah. And it is important. I mean, I'm a mum of 2 children and they're grown up adults now, 2 girls. And I mean, I did breastfeed for both my children and I loved doing it. But I have to say, it was the first one. It wasn't that easy. You know, I needed help. I was worried. There's all these stages you go through. Is the child feeding? Because it's not like having a bottle where you can say, oh, they've had the 6 ounces, whatever they're meant to have. And then when the milk comes in, that can be a whole, oh my goodness, difficulty as well. And then hopefully afterwards, then you get into a pattern. So how do you advise young mums, first-time mums in particular? What kind of advice do you give them?
Well, I think, so the work I do in Wicklow is with Friends of Breastfeeding and also Quid You. So what I'd normally advise is start thinking about supports. Even if you don't think you're going to need them, start thinking about them while you're pregnant. Because in the early days of having a newborn, everything's just a blur and a fog and you're sleep deprived and you don't know what's going on.
That is very good advice.
Yeah.
I think especially for first-time mums, you think, because carrying the baby, well, hopefully is easy. And you think, oh, sure, I'll do the same things that I do afterwards. And then you realize having a shower in the day is like it can be a major achievement sometimes.
I still don't have a shower in the day. I have it when my husband's done work. But yeah, so I mean, we really welcome pregnant women at the groups so they can come along and kind of see, oh, okay, this is how you do it. Or, oh, okay, this is, and get some tips and tricks. Because there's a lot of things you learn in the hospital, like about night 2, where babies just feed constantly. There's very few people that will actually tell you about that, but real mums who've been through the wars, they'll share that at the groups. So it can be very valuable. Another thing Friends of Breastfeeding does is called the buddy system. So if you're not kind of a going out having a group kind of person, or even if you're recovering, say, from a cesarean section, you can get in touch with the buddy system. They'll match you up with one of the trained volunteers like myself, and we can have a chat over the phone, or we can meet up in a coffee shop and have a cup of tea. Or, I mean, before all this started, I was going to people's houses just to kind of, give a few little tips and tricks on getting a better latch, making sure you're comfortable so you're not all neck and shoulder pain. Basic things. And then if it is more serious, we can refer you on to someone who's got more training and expertise.
I mean, again, like I know I had my first child in Singapore. So I was away from my family and friends. Well, I had new friends, but I was, away from my family because you often go back to your mum and your sisters whom you rely on, for a lot of information. And like I came home when I was 6 months pregnant and this is hilarious now, but I was in Singapore, so different culture, of course, as well. And when I became pregnant, obviously as the belly was getting bigger, I thought, oh my God, how do I wear knickers? So I bought pregnancy knickers. And you know what pregnancy knickers are? Now, this is like 26 years ago. They're knickers that come up over your belly, up to your chin. And I got home, and I don't know what I had said to my sister. They laughed so hard. I said, "My little ones that go under the bump." And I went, "Oh yeah." And these are real passion killers. They were just, I was like, oh, they were just dreadful things. And then other things too, after my child was born, my mum came out, and it was great having her out there. But I didn't even know, this sounds really foolish. Mum showed me how to tie up a nappy. You know the way you just tie up a nappy, and to dispose of it, you flip it over, whatever. I had to be shown that because it wasn't instinctive. So the same way with breastfeeding, it's not instinct. And you don't know when you start off, you don't know if the child's getting enough milk or if they're even getting milk, because it's not like you have the bottle there with the 5 ounces going down. Absolutely. So there's lots of truth. What kind of things do you advise young mums?
Well, it's that kind of reassurance. And I think things like the Friends of Breastfeeding groups and the buddy system really help, just because we're peer supporters. We're not coming from a place of authority or anything like that, or it's just from our own experiences mostly, and a bit of training. So just
and a bit of laughing too as well. I mean, I know like when my milk came in, I was Dolly Parton. Yeah. It's like a rock. And no one talks about that.
No
one says that you will be.
I think for groups, we really get into the ugly bits as well.
Yeah.
Like you have a fuss over the baby and isn't he gorgeous and everything. But then most of the groups, I find in my groups anyways, just sit in there going, ugh, she's not sleeping, she's not doing this, she's teething, she's why is she does anybody else's kid do this?
Yeah.
Because like I said, they don't really tell you what's normal.
Or it's like other things I learned, and I must sound like the dopiest person going. With my first child, when I fed her and during the night, I would then change her. And of course, the act of changing a child's nappy in the middle of the night wakes them up, and they've had the nice milk and they're grand. And so it took me 2 hours to do a feed because all this trying to get her back to sleep again. And it wasn't until child number 2 that I realized I could actually, without being a bad mother, feed my child and put her back down with a bit of water maybe in the nappy. And unless the nappy was absolutely horrendous, a child could go back to sleep. And things, someone must have told me that afterwards. I don't, but it's not, even though it's so natural having a baby, obviously, because obviously our species would not continue. There's so much we don't know.
Well, that's it. And I think, hundreds of years ago, you'd have a whole village of people, aunts and cousins and mums and grandmothers that would help you do this.
Yeah.
And we've kind of moved away from that. So groups like Friends of Breastfeeding are an attempt to kind of create that village again. So you have people to bounce ideas off of or vent to without, being afraid of being seen as a bad mother, because we all have days where, you're ready to tear your hair out because you haven't slept and you haven't showered and the baby's fussy, or, you just don't know what's normal. So I think having other mums that can say, oh yeah, I did that, or oh yeah, it's because of this, or, having things to try that you may not have thought of. Because
there's a very funny joke I read years ago before I had any children, and it said a couple of things. It said, before you have your baby, one of them said to put a string bag out in front of you, and every month add in a thing of sugar, a bag of sugar. After 9 months, take out 1 bag of sugar. Another one is, before you have a baby, go around to your friends who do have children and lecture them on how they let the children watch videos and eat sweets and not eat vegetables, and get your lecturing out there and then. Because until you become a mom, a parent, then you realize, oh my goodness, this is beautiful and wonderful and amazing, but a lot harder than no one kind of tells you these things.
Yeah. I think one of the best ones I read was, I was the perfect parent until I had children.
That is true. That is absolutely true. And we need, because I often say I do a lot of advocacy for women and stuff like that, and advancement in careers and stuff like that. But one of the key things I always say is be kind to yourself, but you need to be kind to yourself in your career and in your life and that inner voice, whatever, but so much more so as a parent, because, I'm going with the premise, you love your child, you're going to do the best you possibly can for your child, and you will make mistakes, lots of them. And it's harder for maybe young parents nowadays because there's more mobile phones around the place. The mistakes I made were pre-mobile phone, but but it's nice to have people to talk to, because I say, unless someone else can say, yeah, I have that, or have you tried this? Yeah. That's a huge thing. I know also when I was in Singapore, I was told when I had the milk in, I was told, put some cabbage leaves in the freezer and then put them inside your bra, and that'll help. I don't know whether it's the cold, I don't know, but it had to be cabbage leaves. It worked.
Yeah.
All different things. So it's actually, it's a very nice job or career that because you'll be doing it professionally once you finish your training.
Yeah, hopefully next year.
What a nice job you're going to have, because it's the joy of helping new mums, new babies.
And it's something I think you wouldn't necessarily consider as a career until you've done it.
Yeah.
You know, I used to work in public relations for charities, and to me, that wasn't really compatible with having kids. You know, it's not a very family friendly career. But I found something that I love doing, that I like to think I'm good at doing.
Yeah.
And that's rewarding, and that can fit into my lifestyle, ferrying kids around the place. And
of course, yeah. So that's amazing. So if people want to find out more about the network, it's Friends of Breastfeeding. Is there a website or a Facebook?
Yeah, so their website is friendsofbreastfeeding.ie, and that's where you can sign up for the buddy system. So pregnant women, at any time really, if you want support, you can sign up there. They do have buddies across Wicklow and wider across the country. They do have their Facebook page, Friends of Breastfeeding, and there every week they list the groups that are on. So most of the groups at the moment are only running on Zoom, just because obviously the health and safety of the mums and babies is our primary concern, and it's because they usually take place in coffee shops or play centers. We're a bit not there yet.
Yeah.
There is one group in Wicklow town. It's every other Monday from 10 to 12 at Earl's Coffee Shop. But like that, they're still on Zoom. So
yeah,
they can
well,
go.
it's a fantastic, hopefully, as I say, the lockdown continues to ease, people can actually meet up again. But it's, as soon as my producer told me about the Friends of Breastfeeding and you're doing the work, I went, love it, because it's the most wonderful thing, and it's good for you physically, because it pulls all your insides up and all the rest of it. And it's good for baby, and it's so convenient. You're not in the middle of the night trying to sterilize bottles and measure stuff out, and you don't really know what's in the powder. I mean, I'm all for a bit of blended feeding. Sometimes it can be handy, you know, if you need to do that. But breastfeeding, I'm a big advocate of it, but it's not easy, and I think people need to know that.
And that's why there's loads of help out there. So it's just getting the word out that you don't have to do it alone.
What's fantastic, what you're saying too as well, your advice at the very start of our conversation was, when you're pregnant, come and talk and meet, because that's the time, so that you know when you have the baby and you don't even know what day of the week it is, and you know whether you're up or down, I'll go back to those people, I've met them already, and I can chat to my buddy or join a Zoom call, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always here. So
that is, Kristen, I have to say, what a lovely job you do, or you will be doing. And I really admire you. And I think it's a great thing, because I think isn't Ireland very low in its percentage of breastfeeding women? We've a low, I don't know why.
We are one of the lowest in the world.
Which is mad.
There's a lot of us working really hard to try and get the rates up, and it's progress.
Good. Yeah, no, well done. It's a very important thing that you're doing. So thank you very much for your time today. It's been lovely talking with you. Best of luck with your rest of your tuition.
Thank you.
And great that you could get a job that's so rewarding from it afterwards, and stay at home or to flex it with your children. So it's an amazing thing. So Friends of Breastfeeding. I've been chatting to Kirsten Killoran. Thank you so much indeed for your time today. Thank you to Marlena Murphy producing, and Gavin Dowd on sound. And that's all for this program of Wicklow Good News. Until next time, be good, be safe, and keep on helping others.